Congressman, this is a bombshell. White House.
Yeah.
I'm not like I guess the basics of the story. This report goes well into detail. But the basics of the story, provided with documentation here, now posted by the White House, seems certainly worthy of a full-scale investigation. Do you hope that happens?
Yeah, I hope that happens. And the great thing about immigration fraud is if this is all true, which it clearly is, I mean, this has been something that's been rumored for years, and we finally have an administration that's investigating immigration fraud. And how poetic will it be if Ilhan Omar actually defrauded the United States in her way to become a citizen? And as serving as a member of Congress, the great part of this from the administration standpoint is if she committed immigration fraud, they can deport her. So yes, there are criminal penalties for defrauding the United States and participating in immigration fraud. But the great part of that is if she committed fraud to get into the country, then she's not legally able to be in the country. And the United States of America can quickly deport her back to Somalia. And then obviously that seat will be vacant. But that's the great part about this is the administration, once they have found that she did in fact commit immigration fraud, they can arrest her and have her deported because she is not legally in the country.
What would that look like? Would it effectively look like a DNA test? I guess you'd have to have something, they have plenty of corroborating evidence that comes through the marriage document and marriage certificate. Yeah. And then also Somali community members saying this is obviously the same family.
I mean, I don't even think you if you have the marriage licenses and you can prove that that's her brother, I don't even think you need DNA tests. If the paper, you have to file a marriage license. Obviously, they can track down who this person is and who she is and how they came into the country. I think it would actually be pretty easy to prove that they committed fraud to get into the country, and then therefore she is not legally here in our country, and therefore she can be deported immediately. And I would imagine Homan, because he has stated that they're going to investigate this, I would imagine this is the top of his pile of immigration fraud cases.
So this seems shocking to an American because incest is wrong. And this is something that clearly has very bad genetic and societal results. You can check royal family lineages in Europe to see that. But obviously, it's like just totally immoral. Gross. You don't do that unless you're Somali, because we checked and the coefficient for inbreeding in Somalia is somewhere near 60% for some tribes. It is a practice that binds tribes together. First and second cousin marriages happen all the time, including, but not limited to, also child brides, Congressman, genital mutilation, an entire economy based on piracy and theft and fraud. It really begs the question, why are we bringing any Somalis over here at all? And you shouldn't be shocked by Ilhan Omar marrying a brother because it is common practice in Somalia.
Well, if you look at all these investigations that this administration is uncovering in Minnesota as it relates to that country's fraud of all of these individuals coming into the country, defrauding the United States, and then defrauding different programs to get government money that Tim Walz has obviously allowed to happen in his state for years. You see a huge depravity of legal laws in that area. And I'm just glad that we have an administration that's willing to take it on. I'm glad that we have Homan there that's willing to investigate these things. I would imagine if someone as high profile as a member of Congress has committed immigration fraud by marrying a sibling, or even while she was technically married to some other guy, but she didn't file legal paperwork for that. But then she married her brother so that he could get in, so she could get into the country. Obviously, she's probably not the only one in Minnesota in that area that's been doing that, because they have seen to figure out the laws as it relates to getting people in here illegally.
Yeah, it does seem extremely curious that she's the one who wrote the Meals Act. That was the act that was used in order to defraud the taxpayers of nearly $1 billion through a lot of restaurants in her district that she has direct either connections to through her campaign. She's worked at them or used them for campaign events. She knows the people who run them. That seems extremely, extremely dangerous.
Yeah, this is somebody who's paid her husband millions, her current husband, not that husband, and not her brother, but her current husband, millions of dollars in her campaign account. I filed a bill years ago. I think it was my first session here in Congress that would prohibit a member of Congress from paying their spouse out of their campaign account a consultant fee. So if you look at her net wealth, it's gone up dramatically because she's been paying her husband or current husband millions of dollars out of her campaign account to be her campaign consultant, which is 100% legal and ethical in our current frame of law, which I think is unethical and it should be illegal. And I filed bills for years to try to prohibit the practice. But she is using the United States government to every bit of her ability to defraud America of both government subsidies and defraud to get into the country illegally. And I hope that they investigate it. And the great thing, like I said, about immigration fraud is once they find that she committed immigration fraud, she can immediately be deported.
Will this be one of those failed censures or one of those failed resolutions in Congress where, you can attack an ICE agent and nothing will happen? You don't get censured. You can listen to Jeffrey Epstein during committee hearings and nothing will happen. Will Republicans in Congress take some action here?
We don't need to, because Trump can deport her. I mean, if what is being alleged is true, she created an immigration fraud and he can have her deported out of the country. She won't be a member of Congress anymore because she won't be a citizen of our country anymore. I guess watch the left's head explode if that happens. I mean, it's just going to be nonstop all day long. We're all racist. We're all bigots. All of the things that obviously they use to try to attack us when we're actually following the law and kicking people out of our country who have illegally defrauded the United States.
Yeah, I mean, you are on the Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. This is a very important committee, and this is obviously a committee that a lot of people want to be on because you're able to see and assess the threats to America. You served in the military, and so this is something that's near and dear to you, to protection of the homeland. The Somali fraud allegedly funded Muslim terrorism, the same kind of Muslim terrorism that we're seeing on the streets of Washington, D.C., and the killing of our National Guardsmen. What needs to be done here with the Afghan refugees that were brought in here wholesale by Joe Biden? What needs to be done with the Somali fraudsters who are funding al-Shabaab with our tax dollars?
Well, we know that those Afghan refugees were not vetted. They should be fully vetted by this current administration, and I'm sure they're working on doing that. They have so many things that they're working on that they need more ICE agents and they need more Border Patrol agents to go through all of the litany of the open border policies of Joe Biden over the last 4 years and the 12 million illegals that are in our country. Yesterday in the testimony, there's still 100 something or several hundred known terrorists that the Biden administration let into our country that they're trying to search and get out. But that is one piece. And then the fraud should also be investigated from the DOJ. That's criminal penalties. That's stealing taxpayer dollars when you don't have a right to be able to get those. And I believe not only the people that defrauded the United States out of those taxpayer dollars on those government programs should be held criminally liable. I think the leaders of that state, like Waltz, who knew or should have known that this was going on, should be held accountable as well.
Okay, so how does that work? So yeah, Tim Waltz, would this be a DOJ thing?
Well, it would be like a conspiracy case. It would be like you aided and abetted criminal behavior. I mean, there's all sorts of different statutes you could probably tie in. If he knew or should have known that fraudulent activity was going on in his state, or even took steps to allow it to occur, that's aiding and abetting criminal behavior. That's obstruction. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things, statutes that they could lop in for that.
Okay. You are on the Intel, again, the Permanent Select Committee on Intel. We've been covering the pipe bomber story on this program. We're happy that they finally gave us something on that. It does seem, however, Barry Loudermilk was on the program yesterday, that they had the guy in 2021. It's pretty obvious. They had the cell phone. Yep. They told, I think, your committee in the documents that they had the phone, the pings, the number. Now we know they had license plate. And that they had all of these receipts. We can also look through the degraded footage. It seems as though somebody was internally trying to prevent the identification of the pipe bomber in what I personally believe, Congressman, is clearly some type of larger scale op. I just don't buy that there was this lone spectrumy autist that non-political and just decided to go plant a bunch of bombs. And at the very least, that's just my instinct. At the very least, we know that the FBI clearly lied about this and clearly was trying to withhold. What's going to happen on the Intel Committee? FBI is an intel agency. What's going to happen on the committee for this? We can get some hearings or What do you want to find out further about January?
Yeah, I mean, Barry, who you had on your show, is his committee's leading this. In his committee, they're doing an investigation on it. But I think you're right. I think there's an aspect of this that is FBI, that the Intelligence Committee has oversight authority over. We should certainly bring those people in. I mean, this just is another great example of this, the deep state hard at work. There is no information that Bongino or Cash used that they didn't already have, that the agency didn't already have. So the FBI had this information all the way back from 2021, did absolutely nothing about it. It only took a few task force members to be able to piece together the information that the FBI already had to find this guy. So clearly shows that they had no intention to go after this guy and we're hoping that this would just go away. And thankfully we have new leadership at the FBI that thinks it's important to bring these things to light. And I hope that if Bongino and Cash find that there are individuals that in the FBI that specifically either withheld this evidence or specifically didn't investigate things that they should have investigated because of the political fallout that would have occurred, then those people should be fired at the very least and held criminally liable if there's a criminal statute that they violated. It's going to take time to get all these deep state actors out of our FBI and DOJ and out of the intelligence apparatus. But I think we have good leaders in place that are doing that.
Yeah. Okay. So what leading into the midterms do Republicans need to do to keep the House? It's obviously something that we actually do care about because we care about the future of the country. We hear that there is quite a contingent of people who are either neocons or hate Donald Trump that are trying in their own small or big way to sabotage the midterms and potentially get Trump impeached and to kneecap JD. Can you sort of like lay out the landscape, Congressman?
Well, for me, as a member of Congress, and I'm not in a big, I'm in a R plus 10, so it's not like a huge conservative district. But I act and vote conservatively, and the conservative voters will come out and vote for me. I don't understand this push to run to the center. There's all these reports that the speaker's talking to the moderates in our party about bringing an ACA subsidy bill to the floor. Why would we do that? All you're doing is pissing off the base and not doing the things that you said you were going to do. And in my political experience, and I've been in the state house, the state senate, and Congress, and had a lot of primaries and a lot of general races, if you run to the center, the people who elected you, conservative Republicans who wanted you to go up there and be conservative, are not going to come and vote for you. They'll just stay home, and then you're going to have the results that we're not going to want to have. And we just did a post about it yesterday. If we lose the House, they've already tried to impeach Trump. They've already tried to impeach Hegseth. There was a motion filed on that a couple days ago. They've already tried to impeach RFK. I mean, all this would happen every single day. That would be what the House would turn into for those last 2 years of Trump's presidency. We would get absolutely nothing done. So in my opinion, the House should govern conservatively. The conservatives and Republicans voted us up here. We have the House, the Senate, and the White House, and we're failing to act like conservatives. And by doing that, you isolate the base. The base gets pissed off and is like, what's the difference of having you guys up there than the Democrats in control and people don't show up in the midterms? So hopefully things like Thune does away with the filibuster, do the things that the president wants to do, pass all these great bills. We can't do that with a 60 vote threshold and going to Chuck Schumer in the Senate. And we should be governing conservatively in the House and not passing bills with 115 Democrats.
Yeah, like I don't get that. Like, why not? Okay, sure, maybe it won't pass the Senate, but why not like make a statement to the base? Why not push the Overton window to the right? It doesn't make any sense. Why not force
doesn't
the
make
Democrats
any sense to me?
Force it, just like what you're saying about like with Ilhan Omar and marrying her brother. Like, why not force them to defend it? Defend the indefensible. Defend the lady that married her brother. Force them to do it.
Yeah, as soon as the ethics committee report comes out on Sheila McCormick, or however you say her last name, who took $5 million, has been indicted on 15 counts for stealing $5 million in FEMA funds. I filed a motion to have her expelled from the House. It takes 2/3. And so we'll see all these Democrats, once that the basis of all this evidence comes out from the ethics report, which I expect in the beginning of the year, and I call a vote on that, that's going to put Democrats in a very tough position when all of these Democrats and some of my Republican colleagues kicked out Santos for much less, and this woman defrauded FEMA $5 million. Well, let's see where the rest of these Democrats are on things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Why not force those votes and then make them take the vote? Doesn't make any sense to me. Do you think that Republicans can turn it around? Obviously, it's just the way it goes in the midterms. Things don't look great. We've had a lot of people on the show this week, pollsters banging the drums, being like, if you want to turn it around, this is the way to do it. But is it too little too late?
I don't think so. We have a year. All of the great things that was in the one big beautiful bill will start coming into fruition early next year. All these tax cuts that we passed, the no tax on tips, the $2,000, the $6,000 tax credit for people on Social Security. That's real money that's going to be going into people's pockets. They're going to be seeing that in March and April. It'll be a huge boost to the economy, and people will be seeing the great things that Republicans did this past year. But if, in my opinion, if we don't govern conservatively, why are the base going to come and show up for us and vote for us in the midterm elections? Trump's not going to be on the ticket, so we're going to have to work harder to get Republicans out to vote. And the way to do that is to get them excited about the things that we're doing. We should be codifying all of Trump's executive orders. We should be doing all of the things that we said we were going to do. We should be cutting spending, not putting more money on the debt. All of these things that Republicans wanted us to do, and you can't do it with a 60-vote threshold in the Senate when we pass good conservative pieces of legislation in the House and it goes in the Senate and dies. Just like my banning men and women's sports passed the House by a party line vote, goes to the Senate, and it dies because they have a filibuster, and you got to get Chuck Schumer to agree to that, and he's never going to agree to that. So those things have to happen, and if they don't happen and we lose the House, it'll be impeachment, impeachment, impeachment for 2 years. All of President Trump's policies that we should be making permanent won't go anywhere.
Yeah, you should prove to the American people what will happen if we actually keep the House and if we actually have a Republican majority working with President Trump, because I don't think that message has been sent like at all. That is what we get from our audience, that message just hasn't been sent, how valuable the House is to be working with the president. I mean, we've just seen a lot of kind of like what's going on in the podcast world right now, like a lot of drama, a lot of grandstanding, a lot of people,
not a lot of action.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, well, we hope for it. We'll pray for that. We'll pray for a Christmas miracle. Congressman, thank you so much for being on the program.
Yeah, good to see you, brother.
Obviously, Christmas miracle might be a Ilhan Omar deportation.
Well, that would be a great step in the right direction.
Congressman Greg Steube has 121,000 subscribers here on X. You should be one of them. Fight with the people who are fighting for us. Merry Christmas, Congressman.
Merry Christmas. Good to see you.